The time is just gone 9:47, and we're going across now to join Dr. Quraysha Sooliman, Deputy Director at the Center for Mediation in Africa at the University of Pretoria. Dr. Quraysha, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to you and welcome.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mubarak to you too, and jazakallah for having me.
Yes, Dr. Quraisha, I don't know where to start because, I've just been reading your article that expert opinion on consent for genocide in Gaza is manufactured. And in your article, you even make reference to Dr. Metz Gilbert, who I've just spoken to just a few minutes ago out of Cairo. And I'm actually just trying to actually recover from that interview in terms of what he says because we are being so overwhelmed with what is taking place. And obviously, you've done a lot of work. You've analyzed this genocide, this carnage that is playing out, and this is the reason why you've written this article and looking at the mainstream narrative. Over and over, we hear about just the developments on what had taken place on October the 7th, but clearly nothing happens just like that. Everything is by design, and this is the reason why you speak about this consent for genocide, why you speak about the 10 stages of genocide in your article.
No, no, definitely, Inayat. I think what was important for me also was I knew that there would be the genocide deniers out there, So, and although we as the public have access to different streams of information, we're not condensing it into one clear picture. And so, although you can say there's a genocide happening, I know this is happening, other people might not be privy to all the information that you have. So everybody's getting it in bits and pieces. And I just thought that if I sit down and I write it down, show from an academic perspective what is genocide, what are the 10 points of genocide, and then, put the evidence forth. And I mean, since I wrote that piece for the Mail and Guardian, which is more than a week ago, there's so much more evidence that has come forth that just reaffirms everything that I've said. And notably, I see now that more and more people are beginning to, to mention this. As you saw that Judith Butler, who is a prominent voice from Jewish Voices for Peace, she's also written a book, Jewishness and the Critique of Zionism. And then we had the UN Human Rights, I forget how to pronounce his name, but I mean, the one who resigned just a few days ago, and he said that this is a genocide. So people are beginning to use the word now, but before it was, in brackets, in a apostrophe, between quotation marks. So we call, like, Israelis keep on saying it, and Israeli apologists keep saying like apartheid, refusing to say that Israel is an apartheid state. So the same way they're saying it's like genocide, but we're way past that. I mean, we've passed the amount of deaths that occurred in the Bosnian genocide, for God's sake. And the extremity of the violence and the intentional massacring. I mean, the intentional acts, the leaked documents that have come out to show that this has been a plan for a long time. All of it shows that it is a genocide.
Well, certainly, Croatia. And, as you mentioned, even in your article, in terms of an entire war that is playing out on social media. And just yesterday, I mentioned to some of my colleagues here at Salam Media, where since my involvement in the media, and I started just around when 9/11 had taken place. And since then, I've basically covered almost every major development, brutality, whether it was occupations, Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it, the Arab Spring, all of that I had covered. But this time around, I've seen nothing like this. And this is what has actually overwhelmed me. Obviously, one cannot condone what had happened, all the genocides in the past. And obviously, we sympathize with those. But this time around, it just feels so different, Croatia.
Yeah, it does, and like Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said that the believer sways between hope and sabr. And I'm not going to put it down to us being despondent and sad and depressed. I think let's put it on that scale, that we all are on the scale of sabr at the moment. We're facing a tremendous pain and agonizing pain, but we have to make sabr on that. But in that position of sabr and the positionality of sabr, every one of us needs to make some form of jihad, spiritual, intellectual, physical, mental, whatever it is. It is, I think it is compulsory on us now to do something. So as media personnel like yourself, keep raising the issue. Salam Media is bringing Dr. Mads Gilbert in, myself as an academic, people who are professionals, professional organizations need to put out a statement. I mean, in South Africa, it's pathetic in the academic environment that, in my years now at the university, the amount of people I have met, academics, who've made a living out of talking about gender rights and women, peace and security, about genocide, who do research on the Rwandan genocide, things like that, but they're all absolutely silent. They can't even take the word Israel, in a conversation, and everything is silence the minute you raise your voice. So it's, I think, for people of consciousness, those who have the ability to recognize that, what, this is no longer about religion or about Arabs and Palestinians, but this is about humanity, a fundamental aspect of our humanity. If you're such a person, then you need to do something, no matter what it is, how small it is. I saw a beautiful little clip on Instagram where this guy is walking and is holding a piece of paper in his hand, and he says, but what am I supposed to do? I'm only one person. And then he sticks this paper on the trunk of a tree, and it says, one of 8 billion people. So if 8 billion people, raise the same voice, then it's 8 billion voices that are speaking in every different aspect, in the arts, in the music, in literature, in academia, in professionalism, in politics, wherever it is. It is different in Ayat. And it is important that each and every one of us, we make sure that we keep raising our voices in whatever small way to try and bring this to an end. But most importantly, thereafter, to ensure that we work significantly harder to bring about the freedom of Palestine and accountability for these mass murderers.
Well, also, Croatia, I think, it's obviously academics like yourself that actually throw this entire argument and obviously debunk a lot that the mainstream media has been talking about. And just, reading in to your 10 stage of genocide that you speak about propaganda, you speak about media disinformation, you speak about discrimination, dehumanization, all of this actually playing out. And at the same time, when you look at now all the genocide that is unfolding. You talk about polarization. You talk about preparation. There's just so much that's in here, and I'm sure you and I will be talking for a better part of an hour. And all of this has been a part of a design, and in the case of Gaza, to turn it from a concentration camp to an extermination camp, which is the eventual, and this is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, certainly, Night. I mean, my article, obviously, because of word count, you limit it, so you can't put everything in. But I mean, this design has been unfolding from 1948. They had planned to do this a long time ago. They were just building themselves up to it, and of course, to international consensus. And I've just written another piece now, which I'm going to be sending to the Business Day Live in response to the ambassador, Israeli ambassador to South Africa, who wrote, actually, sorry, please forgive my words, but there's no other way to describe it, a bullshit piece in the Business Day about the innocent Israeli lives. So I've just written a response to him, but the bottom line is that I've said this years and years ago, and from all the interviews I've done with you, I always ask who benefits. When you look at as a political analyst, the first question when you're looking at conflict, you need to ask who benefits. And here there's two very important things to bear in mind. Of course, the Israelis, the Americans, and the Europeans all stand to benefit from the Gaza genocide, and it's all linked to the Ben Gurion Canal project in the Gaza marine field, where there's offshore gas off the coast of Gaza. Since the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, that the gas has been coming in drips and drabs into Europe, and we're heading right into winter now. So they're in a panic stage because they are crippled by the lack of supply of gas from Russia. They need an alternative, and they need, of course, to secure a future where they don't have to be dependent on Russia. And this is also because of the shifting geopolitics. So the design has come from this, which has been supported by the US, the Europeans, and together with Israel. The plan was to build the Ben Gurion Canal project, and this happened a good few years ago. Well, now it's been accelerated since the Ukrainian war, And of course, at the end of the day, the Palestinian lives are dispensable as long as Europe can get a steady supply of gas. And it doesn't matter that it's stolen again and it is built or comes from the blood of a native people. I mean, the Europeans, the Americans, they're all experts at this. Look at their entire history, the genocide that they have committed. If you look at in America, how they killed the indigenous people. In Australia, what they've done to the Aborigines, the Canadians who are a strong supporter of the genocide, what they've done to the indigenous people. So this is, if bottom line, who benefits? The US and the Europeans, they benefit, and Israel, of course. They can control the new geopolitics, the straits, because they want to eliminate the Suez Canal. They secure themselves in the shifting geopolitics where global South countries are aligning themselves in terms of the BRICS formation and the shift with the rise of China and Russia. And so at the end of the day, everybody's asking, why is the US and European nations doing nothing? They're doing nothing precisely because of this, because of the material benefit, which is the gas that they will get, and the canal, the Ben Gurion Canal, which will provide them with stability and security from an ally, not an Arab, not a Muslim, not a global South country that will be controlled, but one of their own, one of their very filthy own people, nations will be controlling it. And so they will then maintain the dominance and the hegemony. And that's the bottom line. Gaza genocide is about money. It is about economic progress for Europeans and the US. That's what it's all about. And it's the genocide of peoples throughout history has always been about that. It's history writing itself again.
Well, certainly, Dr. Quraysha. And just before we take leave of you, I just want a quick comment from you with regard to the Ghaleb Cachalia. And we know that he has been removed from his position as Shadow Minister with the Democratic Alliance. And just quickly, I just need some of your thoughts on where we are and political parties in general in South Africa. We know that DA has been very quiet. We tried to get them onto a program on Salam Media to comment on what is happening in Gaza, and they said they're not engaging with the media. So just quickly, some thoughts from your side on Ghaleb Cachalia.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me that. And a while ago, I said, I don't know if it was in Salam Media, one of the stations, and I said that I wouldn't be voting for the ANC. Well, I'm very significantly reconsidering that. And I'll explain it to you why. Because if you look at what they've done to Cachalia, it's basically an indication of their own ideological commitments and biases. So the liberal West, liberal white Western people have this phenomenal tendency to pretend that they ascribe to freedom of speech, human rights for all, equality for all. But in actual fact, it's a very selective application of the rights law. So they create these robust arguments which are framed within particular, framings to make you think that no, they genuinely mean this. And for the longest time, I kept on thinking, why do Black South Africans still fear that apartheid will come back? Let me tell you, Inayat, I have the same fear now. I fear that if this party comes in without a shadow of a doubt, they will reintroduce certain laws and regulations that will begin to curtail our freedoms and our rights exactly as they did in apartheid. So it's we think that the Black majority, the masses, the rural people are like, they need to grow up. You know what? They are more sincere and more insightful in their wisdom and their insight than many of us can ever hope to achieve. And even me, with all the studying that I have been doing. So what they did to Cachalia, it speaks, immediately to their ideology, to this euphemistic falsehood that they create, that they're working for the individual rights and freedoms of everybody. They're not. They have a very selective agenda, and that's why maybe the DA didn't want to come on, because they're scared they're going to get trapped into saying something. All the Freudian slips we've been seeing from these Israeli guys. We're going to Gaza to kill civilians, and then they have to correct themselves. I'm sure you've seen all of those clips, and that's exactly it. That's their motivation and their intention. They're not genuine about true equality and true freedom right now. I think we can suffer financially a little bit if that's what is going to happen. If the ANC is going to keep stealing, we're suffering financially. But as long as our human dignity is intact and us civil citizens on the ground, we can fight and work with the ANC and to say, there's a new project now. We need to build more on this human dignity through the economic side and through the financial side and exert pressure on the ANC to come around. But when you've got individuals and a political party that's ideologically inclined to apartheid, who cannot say that there's something wrong in what they can, besides you're asking them to say that it's genocide, besides them just saying it's wrong. This is wrong. Israel, they haven't even said that. that Israel has to stop this. They just keep bringing about two sides, always two sides, as if, like, I mean, for God's sake, as if Hamas is the oppressor here. This is about an oppressed people who are resisting a belligerent, apartheid, racist occupation. And then you're trying to make a moral equivalence. It's absolutely wrong. And thank God. Thank God Cachalia wrote that so that the people of South Africa, and I hope the Indians wake up, can see exactly the category and the extent of the deception within the DA party. For anybody who votes DA after this, let me tell you, blood is on your hands.
Absolutely, Dr. Quraysha Sooliman, as always, an absolute pleasure having you with us here on Salam Media. Have yourself a wonderful Jummah ahead as well. And inshallah, we're looking forward to further engagements with you. But for now, please take care and all the best to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair.
Dr. Quraysha Sooliman with us this morning, and with that, we're going to go for a break. We still have got another two interviews coming, so don't sign off yet. We are running a bit late, and next up, we will be talking with Africa Muslims Agency.